Don't wait till the battle's over. Don't wait till the struggle ends. Shout now, shout now, right now. Shout now, shout now. Don't wait till you make it.
Hey everyone, this is Phillip, and welcome to the PHILLIP Show. Before we get started, grab your coffee. So today, I am drinking, I think this is Maxwell House. It's medium roast, just in case you're wondering. I had some dark roast earlier. Yeah, I don't know if it's too dark or too strong, but I know, whatever. So this month, as if you've been watching and following, this month we're talking about being creative. You know, what are you creative in doing? You know, were you born that way? Did you learn it in school? I live in a place called Yellow Springs, and we're going to speak about that. But my entire life, I've been creative, doing singing, producing, graphic design, whatever it is. There's always been some sort of creative element. So we're talking to people today specifically who live in Yellow Springs about what it means to be creative and how do they use creativity in their life. Is it a hobby? Is it a job? How does it show up in their life? And today, we have an awesome creative person, and his name is Evan, and we're going to meet him right now. Evan.
Hey there. Phillip.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey. It's going really well. Thanks for having me. What an intro. I don't have my coffee. I'm kind of feeling left out. I forgot that's the MO of your show. You got to have a drink in hand, and I don't have mine. So I'm just going to wing it.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm just going to go for it.
So are you in your creative space now?
I am. Yeah, this is actually my office/Florida room. It's pretty green, as you can tell. I've got all my plants, all my creative instruments, including my cameras, my guitars, my recording equipment.
Wow.
And it's just my go-to space. It's kind of my Zen area. Yeah.
Nice. So,
yeah.
Okay. So this month, we're talking about creatives in Yellow Springs. And you are from Yellow Springs, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Born and raised here. I did spend a little bit of time in Springfield. Kind of split between Springfield and Yellow Springs. Pardon my dog. She's pretty whiny right now. She wants to go out.
Is that what that is? I was thinking we were getting feedback. I was like, oh no.
No, that's my girl Juno. She likes to be the center of attention at all times. So she's going to probably interrupt us, but we'll just ignore that. So, but yeah, went to school in Springfield, but as soon as I graduated, I ended up here in Yellow Springs, and I've kind of just been expanding my roots here since then. Yeah.
Nice. So for the people who are wondering, there are going to be people watching that are not from Yellow Springs. So in your perspective, just briefly describe Yellow Springs from a creative standpoint.
From a creative standpoint, Yellow Springs, I mean, we have it all here. I mean, we have all sorts of creatives. I mean, from, artists outright to photographers who are artists as well. I mean, we just cater to it all. We have so many resources here in town that, aids and artists. We have like the Arts Council. We have like consortiums of artists and groups and collaborative efforts throughout in all different, verticals and industries. And we're all eager to like help each other with that.
Right.
So that's something that's like, I think unique about Yellow Springs is we all like kind of support each other in our endeavors, whether it be something creative or it's just our job. So it's like a big family.
You said like a family. Nice.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So you mentioned at the beginning in your space, you routed off like you had a camera in there. I think you said some musical equipment, et cetera, dot. So when did you notice or discover you had a passion for creating or being creative?
I don't want to like say it was all about kind of just being in a creative community, but that really helps. I mean, I wasn't really much of a creative prior to moving to Yellow Springs permanently. I mean, I've always kind of had a spark for art and being a bit creative, but didn't really find that kind of fire until I was around other creatives and this community having so many of those type of people, that really kind of pushed me in that direction. So ever since I moved here, it's just been kind of exploding into different areas of creativity and, So Yellow Springs has definitely helped aid in that. I would absolutely say. Right.
Yeah, because it's an awesome backdrop, and it almost kind of encourages participation.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, every week someone's asking me like, do you want to film something for me, or do you want to like participate in this event? And I'm like, usually more often than not saying no, because I'm booked doing something else with someone else. So there's definitely a large amount of activity happening in Yellow Springs at any given time. And there are plenty, like an inordinate amount of people who are willing to help, and no one's afraid to ask for help, which is also a great thing I think that is cool about Yellow Springs.
Yeah. So you said you're a lot of times you're just busy being booked. What would you say is kind of your number one niche or go-to when it comes to your creative outlet?
Yeah, I mean, outside of my job, which I'm lucky enough to have an actual career job that I do get to be a little bit creative in. We do a little bit of marketing, and that's what my degree is in. I have a degree in marketing from Wright State, and so I do get to be creative that way. I do a lot of digital media, but outside of that, outside of work, which keeps me plenty busy, a lot of photography gigs book up my time. Phillip, I've done some for you in the past.
He sure has. They're great.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. Back to where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought. Most of my time is spent like outside of work and being creative with the camera. I also like restore vintage motorcycles a little bit and dabble in music as well. So there's plenty of things that occupy my time and, fill up my schedule. So yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about some photography here in a second. And yeah, that photo shoot was the best. It was very fun. It's very fun. But I want to tell me about music.
Yeah, I've actually just started like dabbling more in music. Wasn't much into I've always been into listening to music and going to concerts and, sharing the music with friends and, collecting vinyl and all that stuff. But actually making music and trying to, throw my hat in the ring with playing music is a new thing for me, with at least in the last couple years. I haven't done anything very exciting. I'm just kind of learning, kind of just getting my toes wet in it. But
now, what made you want to do that?
I guess just probably listening to music for my whole life, and like I said, going to shows and seeing all my friends be creative and having that outlet in music, and I just wanted to try it. So yeah, I've now been collecting guitars. I have 2 guitars and a mandolin, and some other odds and end equipment. And yeah, I've just been kind of experimenting with it and having fun, and not really pressuring myself to be, the next Bob Dylan or anything great, but it's fun to just play a chord and just, make a rhythm and see where it goes. Yeah.
Nice. So if somebody called you with all the things that you do, would you normally get calls for photography?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, all of my other creative outlets, not so much paying the bills by any means. It's mostly just photography is where I'm actually making money doing that. I've done a few motorcycle builds and help people restore things, and I think that's a creative outlet. But it's mostly just photography. Yeah.
So how do you decide? I guess your clients will help direct what they want shot, but do you have a passion for photography outside of clients?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think, that's kind of what made me realize I could probably make money off this. I think I have an eye for it. I think, I mean, I like the shots that I take, and I took some photography classes in college just for the fun of it and the challenge. But a lot of what I know is kind of self-taught, and just by getting the feel for it from looking at other people's work and experimenting with the equipment that I did own, and then making that transition to getting better equipment. And then I just realized I could probably make some money and, help other people kind of encapsulate what they want to get images of, whether it be their wedding or an engagement, or in your experience, it was kind of some headshots, kind of collaborate your brand. I like to get people to what they want, help them get to where they want to be with the images that they're looking to get.
Nice. I know a lot of people have a particular style of photography, or a particular I don't think is the word, but preference when it comes to taking. Sure. Some people are very portrait driven. Some people enjoy events. And we talked about my headshots were more lifestyle headshots. So what would you say your preference of photography is, or your expertise?
Yeah, and I get what you're saying, and I think everybody has an expectation of what they expect to see, and I like to kind of break that expectation a little bit and kind of use my own eye for it. And as we're going through things, and just be like, hey, look at this. What do you think of like this shot? And like, oh my gosh, I never even would have thought of that. And so it kind of happens organically and a little bit naturally. We get to a point where we're both kind of relaying our ideas, and we get to a point where we get to a happy. Yeah, sorry, just a little distracted. So this is Juno. She wants to say hello. Yeah, or go on, Jay, go. Yeah, I think it happens naturally, and at the end of the day, everybody's happy, and that's what we want. But it is an organic experience where you're taking two people's ideas and coming up with something that works for both parties.
Yeah. Would you say that? Do you have a preference on like if it's like for an event or a wedding? Do you like being outside, indoors? I'm just curious.
Yeah, totally like being indoors. Or I'm sorry, outdoors. Indoor photography is a whole other like demon for me. I'm just kind of getting into flash photography. Like I just like purchased my first flash gun for doing inside photography, more, lighted photography. And that's a whole nother demon for me. Yeah. And so that's been a big learning curve that I never expected would be so much of a challenge. But like wedding photography, for example, I've done a few wedding gigs and a lot of engagement photos. And if I'm doing engagement photos, for me, they have to be outside. Like I'm not even going to try to do anything inside. So like engagement photos, it's more like kind of off the cuff, more candid. It's kind of hard to pull off indoors, at least in my experience. Surely people do that and it would work well for them. Maybe the more experienced photographer could do that. But for me, it's outside, being in nature, seeing the greens, seeing the natural like environment, and nothing beats natural sunlight, natural daylight. Yeah, that's my go-to for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I like well, if I were to take somebody's picture, I think indoors it's a lot more contrived. There are a lot more elements at work, because then you have to kind of see what the architecture is doing, like how lights bouncing off something. It's a little bit less. It's not as easy as outside.
To your point, it's not. It doesn't feel as organic. You're more worried about the lines and, like you said, the architecture of the environment you're in. It's just way more challenging, at least in my experience.
Yeah, and you need more equipment inside.
More equipment, sometimes you need an extra person.
Yeah.
Just,
and who needs that kind of negativity in your life?
No, let's make it easy.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's fine. So when you're not doing photography and you're not, what do you do in your spare time? Do you use your spare time to do some of these creative passions, or do you do other stuff like fishing?
Yeah, it's usually something creative or something adventurous. I'm sure a lot of people from Yellow Springs will watch this video and they're like, oh, he's not talking about his motorcycle. It's like, yeah, I'm going to talk about my motorcycle. It's what I do. Like I've had a number of vintage motorcycles and spent a lot of time working on them and making them into what I want them to be. Yeah. And they're always for sale, of course, too. So I'm always looking to like wheel and deal a little bit. Okay. Get something new, fix it up, sell it. Yeah, it's like a major hobby of mine. Like my garage is just full of what some people will call junk, what to me is just parts. So yeah.
And there's a big difference.
That's a big difference. Yeah. I'm anti-hoarder in all other aspects, but give me a motorcycle part and I won't sell it. I'll keep it forever.
Now, how did you get into working on or being interested in motorcycles?
Yeah. So I got my first motorcycle when I was in high school, and my dad was gracious enough to keep it from my mom for a while. So that was one of the things that my mom never wanted me to do, was have tattoos, which I have many of, and have motorcycles, which I've had many of as well. So those two things ended up being things I really liked. So it had to be kept a secret for a little bit, but once I started getting more and more and being more involved with it, it kind of just became a part of like who I am, I guess. So it's no secret these days.
Oh, wow. So how do you find people to purchase them?
Facebook Marketplace is a great resource. Craigslist I use a lot. And also just after meeting so many people in like that culture, it's not hard to get rid of things if I'm looking to get rid of something. Everybody, if there's something that is valuable to me, it's probably valuable to someone else. So it's not too hard to get rid of things if I'm looking to get rid of them.
Yeah. I know that I know a lot of people that are creative. They have like a space they go to kind of reset and regroup and, you know, kind of woosah. Do you have like a special place that you just kind of go to just relax or to get creative without doing something?
Yeah. I mean, really right here. And I know a lot of people like to separate their work environment from their like relaxation kind of Zen environment, but for me, it can be both. I think I work from home, so it's important that I have an environment that I like to be in. So why can't that environment be the same environment that I relax in? So yeah, it's like pretty much right here. And I live in the middle of a cornfield and I'm surrounded by a bunch of grass and green and love it. Wouldn't trade it.
That's a whole scary movie scene.
It kind of is to some people. Absolutely. Yeah. But for me, I've never seen anything scary here. So
oh my God.
It's just a peaceful place for me.
So let's just talk about it. Let's see. Let's meet the dog.
Oh, Juno, come here. Juno, come here. Oh, now she doesn't want to come. Now she's being bashful. I don't know. She knows what's up. She's like, no, now you want my attention. I don't want to give you the attention. But yeah, this is Juno. This is my 4-year-old German Shepherd. She's been right by my side ever since I got her when she was a puppy. But yeah, she's a great girl. She's a great girl. Very affectionate. Very good. Oh, there she is.
Oh my. She's 4?
She is 4, yeah. She's like 4.5. Yeah.
I know the camera adds some pounds, but is she huge?
Yeah, she's pretty big. She's about 80 pounds, but she's a big, gentle giant. She loves people, loves to see people in Yellow Springs, and she also apparently loves to shed.
No.
Yeah, my environment's very green, but also very black with dog fur, so there's no shortage of that. Yeah.
That is funny. With doing marketing and your photography business, how do you and doing everything else, how do you balance the two?
It's a good question. I mean, for me, it's a little bit intimidating as an artist. I think I'm like more of an artist before I'm like a business photographer, I guess. And so for me, I don't like to like market myself ever. So a lot of the jobs that I've gotten have been through word of mouth. And, you know, it feels like almost like to me, and I think this is the same for a lot of artists, they don't want to brag about their work or feel like they're, you know, trying to portray themselves as something that is greater than themselves, I guess. So I don't really do much marketing for myself ever. Never have. And I hope I don't have to, because that's how intimidated by it I am.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to separate it for me. I can do marketing for other people all day long. Happy to do it. Love doing that. But for myself, not so much. It's all pretty much been word of mouth up to this point.
Really? Well, that's cool. Because I guess I met you on another project, but I just saw that what you were doing with another project.
Yeah. So I think you're referring to the Uplift Yellow Springs project that we did.
Yeah.
In early 2020. Yeah. So that was fun. And I got that gig through word of mouth. There wasn't any, like, you know, someone knew that I did a little bit of videography. And so they came to me and asked if I wanted to participate in the project. And, you know, at that time, it was to benefit local businesses, which I wholeheartedly support. I love all of our little businesses here in town and encourage them to continue indefinitely. So during the pandemic, and it was a kind of a weird time for them, I wanted to contribute, and that's the way I wanted to contribute. So that's kind of how I got into that experience and produced that kind of, I don't want to say infomercial, but, you know, infographic video that kind of talked about the issues that small businesses were facing and the initiative, which was Uplift Yellow Springs, how that initiative could be a resource for them. And so that was fun. It was really a really fun thing to work on. And yeah, I forgot you were a part of that project as well.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Yeah. So it's really cool because, and let me ask you this: you may not know, but in your perspective, would you say that if you were in a larger city, you would have the same drive or interest in the creative elements or aspects?
I think if I were trying to make money in it, I would have to be a lot more driven. There would be a lot more competition. Obviously, the market would be way more saturated with other people doing the same thing that I'm doing. So yeah, it would be a totally different experience, I think. And so if I ever do choose to do that, I'm using all of this experience I'm getting right now and building a portfolio to then maybe use that as some sort of display in the future. God forbid I have to market myself, but if the time comes, I'll do it.
It's so funny because as a marketing person myself, the hardest client to market is yourself.
Absolutely.
It's like
absolutely. It feels contrived. I hate it.
Yeah, it's like a project that just can't get started and never ends. You know?
Yeah, exactly. You're totally right. On the money. Yep, yeah, that's how I feel about it.
So, what are some of your favorite places to go? Where are some of your favorite places to go in and around town?
In and around town, obviously love the green spaces, love the Glen, love John Bryan. Just being anywhere where it's kind of green and quiet is nice. But if I'm in town, it's definitely the Emporium. Okay. Love everybody there. The Emporium's a great spot. And, all the other coffee shops are cool too. But also I've worked a ton of like part-time jobs in Yellow Springs over the years. Like I worked at I still work at the hardware store occasionally. Worked at Tom's Market for a number of years. So it's always fun to go back to those places as well and just kind of visit. It's kind of like a little family, But yeah, the hardware store is another hangout spot. You can catch me there every other Saturday from 12 to 4. Come get some hardware. We love our local hardware store. The owner, Shep and Gila, are awesome folks. And yeah, I mean, anywhere you can catch me anywhere in Yellow Springs. I'm all around.
Wow. What in Yellow Springs, what is one thing that you would tell a visitor that they need to come experience?
Yeah, true. But wait, let me ask you, Philip. What's your favorite spot in Yellow Springs?
Oh, no. I really don't have a favorite. I have several, but I'm a creature of habit. So sure. Once I start going somewhere, I generally keep it up. But I have a lot of different favorite spots. It just depends on why I'm going.
Sure.
So I have different favorite eating spots. Then I have favorite, it just depends. I don't really have one favorite spot. I actually have a little feature on the show called My Fave Spots. And I love those places for what they are for those moments and for that aspect. So I can't really say that I have a particular favorite. The good thing about this town, which I love, is that it's small enough that they all can be a favorite.
Absolutely.
I remember living in New York. It was so big and so just like, oh my gosh. So I would literally I like to go here because there's so many choices to choose from and I didn't feel like choosing. So I would always go to the same place. Here, everything is so convenient and so eclectic and so different that you really don't have to make a choice. It's just like, meh.
I totally agree with you. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Every place in town has its own, space and its own purpose, and we'll always end up at one of those spots, one way or another. So totally.
Yeah, I get on a kick. I go to some place like forever, and then I don't go anymore.
Yeah,
I'm going somewhere else forever. I'm just a creature.
Right.
Yeah.
I hear that. I'm similar that way too. That's why I go to the Emporium every morning for coffee 7 days a week. So
yeah, I do think I like what you said because you like the people in there. And I think one of the things that drives any sort of repeat clients or business or whatever is the relationships that you build.
Yeah,
because I'll go somewhere that I have a relationship before I'll go somewhere that may be a little bit more unfamiliar, or if it's just a product. I'll go spend money somewhere because I know somebody versus if I need that product. Yeah,
absolutely. Go where it's familiar and that you'll see a familiar face. That's always valuable.
Like you said, you work in the hardware store on Saturday. What do you say? Every other Saturday?
Every other Saturday from 12 to 4, yeah.
See, and I would go to the hardware store and make up something to get because I'm like, hey, I'm going to go see Evan. Let me get this. That's just kind of like, that's how I do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if you see me buying some like random hardware,
I'm gonna ask you if you really need that. I'm gonna question you. Like, did you just come here to see me, or do you really need those nails? What are you doing? What are you building? What are you building, Phillip? What are you building?
That's one of the awesome things I think about Yellow Springs. You know, you make such relationships that it's just, you know, you just go and you just end up somewhere, and it's just awesome that way.
It's like home, man. It's
yeah.
Like home. Yeah. But back to your other question. Sorry to throw you off here on a tangent, but what was your question again?
I forgot.
Me too. Something.
Yeah, and your answer was
something.
Perfect.
I think the question was, what would I tell people who are coming to Yellow Springs? Something like that. What would I tell them?
Where would you tell them to go?
Where would I tell them to go? Actually, you know, working in Yellow Springs, you get that question a lot. People come to the hardware store, they're milling about. They're obviously tourists. They're like, where's a good place to eat around here? I'm like, well, depending on what time of day it is, you know, if it's for breakfast, I'm like, you get a breakfast burrito at the Emporium. You can go to Sunrise. Those are go-tos. Those are mainstays. For dinner, you know, depending on how fancy they want to get or whatever, it's either, you know, you can go to Peaches, get some really good quick food, have a beer, or, you know, the Winds is obviously a good option as well. And there's Calypso. Yeah, I mean, for food, that's a hard one because we have a lot of options. But if someone asks me just straight up, you know, what's a go-to spot that, you know, we can't miss out on, I'm always like, go to the Glen. Just go take like a mile loop in the Glen and you won't regret it. Or just walk down the bike path. Like, that's a good experience, good way to experience Yellow Springs. You know, walk down the bike path and hit up Yellow Springs Brewery and have a boat show. I mean, plenty of good things to do around here.
Yeah, absolutely. You're making me think. I've been to the Glen just a couple times since I've been back.
Really?
Yeah, I'm an indoor person. Indoors. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's bugs and stuff.
There are. You're totally right. There are bugs and stuff.
I don't know. So let me ask you this for as we close, for somebody who is, and I ask everybody this who's creative because I think the answers are so important. For somebody who is creative at more than one thing, how do you determine if you need to choose or to just kind of do them all?
You don't need to choose, at least in my experience. You can do it all, and you're going to end up doing the one that you like most more than the other things anyway. So you're naturally, in my experience, you're gonna gravitate toward the thing that brings you the most joy. And I think that's what we all kind of aim to do, is bring ourselves joy. You know, we all want to be happy and do something that feels valuable, whether it be valuable to someone else or, more importantly, valuable to yourself. And so for me, it's just about doing all the things you want to do and then figuring out what you like most, and then just it'll naturally gravitate towards that thing you like doing the most.
That's good advice.
Yeah, maybe.
So another thing that you can do when you come to Yellow Springs is get advice from Evan.
No, we don't want that. No, I'm a hack. You don't want to hear me ramble. No one wants to hear that.
Oh my gosh. Well, Evan, thanks so much for being here and for taking time out of your day and letting us into your space.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me here. I'm really impressed with the shows you've been putting out, and I hope you keep doing it. And I hope that season 1 wraps on a good note. Thank you. I think I hope the same. Yeah, absolutely. Again, thank you for having me. Absolutely. Everybody, that was Evan, and we so enjoy him being on the show. And you heard so many great things about what to do with creativity, how to use it, how to find your passion, what do you want to do. You can do it all, and whatever you are most passionate about will just rise to the top. And if you missed it, there's some great places to go here in Yellow Springs. There's some great relationships that you can make right here in Yellow Springs. And it doesn't have to be a business. It can also be exploring the awesome outdoors that we have here. So next time you're here, check out some of those awesome places. And remember, you are the best you in the world. And we'll see you next time here on The PHILLIP Show.